Mr. Roofer, tell us about like your mother milked when you were a baby. 10 cows every day
Yeah,
in the 50s, the Dust Bowl.
my grandfather, my mother and dad and grandfather milked about 10 cows in the 50s. And they'd set me in a cardboard box in the feed trough right by the cow. And they'd milk the 10 cows and skim the cream and put it in a 5-gallon cream can and set it on the dock at the train yard every week. I don't know how it kept from going bad, but anyway, they got money for it.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Karen. Welcome to Texas Farmstead Living. On today's video, I am going to share with you how we calf share with our milk cow. We just milked our cows, and their cows and calves are back together and they're resting. It's about mid-morning. So I want to start off this video with kind of sharing with you some of my experiences, because one of the most important things that I want for you to understand is there really is no right and wrong. It's what fits your life and your holistic goals best. So I want to share with you what my goals are, maybe how they've changed through the years, and kind of tell you what's worked for me. And at the end, I'm going to share with you the pros and cons, a list of the pros and cons of calf sharing with your milk cow. Okay, to start with, I started milking 20 years ago. And I just had one milk cow, and I did not even have a stanchion. I had just a pen. So that's where I started, and my cow was a Jersey, but it had been with beef cows its whole life, and it was not trained at all. It had never been handled, and I was freshly from Dallas. So it took quite a while. So back in those days, and Mr. Roofer's been milking, well, he's 71. When he was born, his mother was milking 10 cows. So to start with, that was my first experience with a calf, and what I did, well, let me go back. So that was where I started, and then I've always milked. I actually had a Texas raw milk dairy for 3 years. And then after that, we've just, been milking for the family, and I do a lot of cheese making. So, I've experienced lots of different methods of calf sharing. So if that's something you're interested in hearing about, so watch till the end. Okay, so I started, and I was new, the cow was new. And what I would do is the cow would just come into an area like this, and her calf would be in it, and I would let the calf nurse the cow for just a minute, and then I would open a gate into my little area where I milked, and the cow would go, and the calf would stay behind. That worked. It's probably not the safest, because gates are dangerous, and holding back big calves can be dangerous, but that cow, that particular cow, her name was George, it just worked with her, and she would go right in, and I milked for 7 years that way, and it worked great. Never a problem. She would leave her calf, go into her pen, and I had to train the calf from the time it was born to stay behind, but I never tied it up, and actually it did not run with her, because it was so new. I only had like a 20-acre field, and I did not really know what to do. So most of the time the calf just lived at the barn with other calves. Okay, so then we go on to when I had a raw milk dairy. I totally, took the calves away from the cow and gave it to another cow. And I really did not like that. And that was one of the reasons I don't have a dairy anymore. But people want cream, and those cows, if you have a dairy, they have to be milked with a machine, and that was just what we had to do. But I did not like it, and it caused me a lot of stress. And the cow, and the calves. So I don't want to do it that way anymore. So what my goals are now, how I've changed, and this has been 20 years, is I've been working on genetics for 20 years, and I have the cow that I want finally, the calves. They're grass-fed. They're Bruno from Holt Creek Jerseys was our herd bull for 10 years. And then we have the Holder Home Lieutenant, grass-fed genetics, which is our bull sire right now. So my holistic goals have changed, so I have to change the way that I do things. My goals now are, I'm raising heifers that I'm going to keep, that are going to be milk cows one day. And so I want them to have the best of everything. They're very valuable to me. So that's what I'm working on. That is my strategy, is to just keep working on genetics. Also, if we have a bull calf, chances are he is going to go into our beef business and be harvested. And so therefore we want him to have milk full time and be out on grass. And Jersey beef is the best, so that's definitely what is going to happen. And also financially, looking at it is, between a heifer calf that is fabulous, and I have disease-free cows for 20 years. We've been close. So between that and the, raising the male steer bull for beef, the cat, you're going to make back your money to take care of your cow for sure. You may not have, as much milk as you want for the family until the heifer's weaned and the beef is butchered, but that's something you just have to decide for your family. Now I'd like to share with you how we calf share. To start off, we leave the cow and calf together in the pasture for 2 weeks. We do check on them often. We recommend keeping your cow and calf as close as possible to the barn in a smaller paddock. She will hide her calf, and it may be difficult to get her into the pen. If her calf is kept at the barn, then she will gladly show up. It should be convenient for you to walk out and get her with little stress. We keep the cow and calf together as much as possible. At first, when we are training the calf, they may spend some time away from each other at night. After the cow will show up and let her milk down while in the milking area, we'll let them run together full time. Remember when I told you about George, my first milk cow? I did not have a small paddock, so the calf stayed in the barn, and George showed up in the morning to be milked and stayed with her calf until noon. Then I turned her out to graze, and then she would show back up at 6 p.m. and I would let her stay in the pen with her calf until 9 or 10 p.m. Then she'd go back out to the pasture. The reason for this was it would take about 5 people to get her back into the pen because she had such a large pasture. I like our routine better now because I've seen many ways of calf sharing, and I think the calf is far better off to be with a cow. We only milk once a day. We'll bring the cow and calf into the milking parlor together. We'll halter the calf and tie it close to her where it is touching her, but it's out of reach to nurse. This will encourage her to let her milk down. Or sometimes we'll let the calf nurse first and then pull it off, but this will become problematic when the calf gets larger. We usually milk the cow on just one side, and if she's holding her milk, then we'll let the calf in again to nurse, and then after she lets down, we pull the calf off again. And we go back and forth doing this, usually for the first week. We're trying to get her to develop a reflex to let her milk down when she's in the milking area. Sometimes we let the calf nurse on one side and we'll milk on the other. This works great and you will get cream. My 90-year-old mother-in-law always used this method, as did most people in the old days. After milking, we turn the cow and calf out in the pasture until the evening. We like the cow and calf to come in every evening anyway for a treat, so we can check on them. So this is how our milking routine starts out, but within a few weeks, routines fall in place and everyone knows what to expect, so things calm down. Cows are very crafty at holding their milk and cream for their calf, so developing a routine will definitely help. So here's a few tips, more tips that may help. When we bring in the cow and calf each evening, we give the cow a treat. This is good training and works especially well if you live in an area that is often in drought like us. If she has plenty to eat, then she may likely not want to come in. Try to bring she and the calf in about the same time every day. Dairy cows like routine and predictability. The calves can spend the night at the barn, and it's best if they have a herd mate. Okay, I have my notes, and now I want to share the pros and cons. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I just, hearing something a couple of times, maybe it'll help you, because this is really hard. Okay, so the benefits that I see are the cow and calf are happy. As you can see, I showed in the video, the cow always licks the calf after the calf nurses, and the calf really enjoys that. So if you have a heifer, she'll be really, really healthy. We find that when we keep the calf on, we have less problems with the cow's udder and virtually no mastitis, because the calf will finish every last drop of milk in the udder, especially when they, get bigger. So these calves are already doing that. The cow's milk production goes up for 2 months, and then it'll start dwindling. So we really like the calf to be on the first 2 months. You can miss a milking. That's a bonus. You can milk once a day, and for our family, that's definitely enough. We just need milk for our kefir and for our clabber. You can raise a calf to sell or have harvested, and this will definitely cover your cow's expenses. After the cow is weaned, you can milk twice daily and make dairy products, which that's what I love in the fall. In Texas, it's perfect for milking. It's kind of hot. It's about 105 every day here right now. You get beef, dairy products, and money from that strategy. Also, a very important thing, and you'll notice this in Heidi's calf, it's a little skittish. And if you handle those calves all the time and you halter them every day and you tie them near the cow and you really, really work with them, those calves will grow up to be great milk cows. They'll be, very, very comfortable with humans. And they'll be a lot easier to deal with, maybe. I don't know. A cow that is really, really, really tame can kind of be difficult sometimes. Okay, the cons. You're not going to have as much milk and very little cream. And it can be very frustrating to deal with a calf and all the training, and you spend a lot more time, and it's really hectic because when the calf's gone, it's just really, really relaxing, and it's really quiet, and the cow just sits there and chews their cud. She's not worried about the calf all the time. When she has her calf, she's very, very bonded to. She is going to move and be very worried about the calf. These cows aren't too much, but we raised them. We had actually their great grandmothers. Okay, you also, if you're gonna separate them, you're gonna have a really, really safe place for your calf. And remember, if you put your calf, if you separate them, that calf doesn't have protection from the mom or the herd. So keep that in mind. You wanna make sure there is nothing that can get near that calf. From our Texas Hill Country Farm to you, have a blessed day, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.